Hello, Internet. So, a lot of people have come to me and ask about buying used cars. They want to know what to buy, what not to buy. So I get this question asked a lot. And so I thought, a lot of people don't know because I've seen a lot of people buying the wrong thing and then be stuck with it and have problems because now they're stuck with a lemon. So I thought, let's do a video talking about some things. So this first one in the series will focus on just some general rules of some do's and don'ts and things that you should do and shouldn't do on a general scheme. And then later on, we'll focus in on some specifics. So if you're ready, let's go. Okay, so number one, as a general rule, you want to buy a Honda or Toyota product and you don't want to buy a European car. That is a very general rule. There are plenty of Hondas and Toyotas that you should avoid, and there are plenty of European cars that are decent. But I would say if you stick to the right Honda or Toyota, in most cases you don't go wrong. However, that is a very broad statement, so there are details, and we'll follow those up later on. But those are some of the basic things that you really should focus on, because picking the right manufacturer is very important, and then within that, picking the right model is important. So keep that in mind. Number two. Number two, I would say, again, know what you're going to buy and do research. So I see a lot of people who decide, okay, I need a car and I want something is reliable. And so they just look at price and they go, okay, I'm going to buy something that's $3,000, and they just look, set the limit at $3,000, and they start looking to see what they're going to buy. Not a great way to go, because you don't know what you're getting into. It's much more important. I've asked people who've come up to me and say, okay, I need a car. And I tell them, okay, what are you going to do with this car? What's your goals? What are the things that's important to you? Do you want, speed, fuel economy, room, four-wheel drive, all kinds of stuff like that. So you need to have those parameters. I had to help somebody who, when I said, okay, what kind of car do you want? He went all the way from a Miata to a Drift-built 240SX to a Lexus to a truck. So spread all over the place. So if you don't know exactly what you want and you're just buying based on, oh, I don't know, this looks cool, not a great way to go. So it's much better to know, okay, I'm going to go get a Honda Civic, and I'm going to focus in on either an 8th gen or a 9th gen, and then do as much research about that car as possible, because research is key. Because when you go see that car, you should have a really good idea of items that those cars are known for that are problems. So you need to know what you're going to look at and what's the one you're looking at. Does it have this problem? Does it not have this problem? So that's really important to know. For example, if you're going to buy a BMW, most BMWs, depending on the year, of course, but most later model BMWs are known for oil leaks, because when they get to right around 100,000 miles or so, they start puking oil everywhere. Those are the kind of things that you need to look out for, because it's if you don't know what you're looking at, then you're not going to be able to identify what's good and what's bad. Number three. Number three is use your head, not your emotions when you're selecting a car. You don't want to go see a car and base it on like, oh, this car's pink and it's pretty. A lot of people do that. You need to have an open mind and look at it from a very objective point of view. And you need to also know that, if this car's not good, I'm going to walk away. Now, again, general rule, because if you're looking at something that's really rare and there are only 400 of these ever made, then that's different. Because if you find one for sale, then that's the one you need to get, because chances are you may not see one for years down the road. But if you're looking for your regular Corolla or Civic that they're made millions of, there are plenty others out there. So if there's something about it that you don't like, then be sure to walk away. Don't just base it on, well, I'm here and the weather's nice and it took a while to get here, so I might as well hand over the cash to this guy. Don't do that. If you see something that you don't like and it's an important thing that you don't like, then walk away. Next one. Now here's one that's kind of important, but not a lot of people go with this, so I understand. This is my thing, but if you want to save money, buy a manual transmission car. Stay away from automatics and stay away from CVTs. If you want to, now, not everybody wants to drive a manual car. That's on you, but manual cars tend to be much better, much more reliable, they're much simpler, and most importantly, when you test drive a manual car, if there's something wrong with that transmission, you will know it. Once you drive an automatic car, it could be good today, but tomorrow you could have a clutch problem or some other torque converter problem, whatever, and it'll be bad. So that's a huge thing. But manual transmissions are much simpler, much lighter, much cheaper to fix. If something does go wrong, usually what goes wrong is you need a clutch, and on most cars, depending on what it is, clutches are meant to be replaced, so they're much cheaper. Automatic transmissions these days are getting very expensive. Now, the other side of the coin on this is that manual cars are a lot harder to find. So they tend to go for more money. It used to be back in the day where nobody wanted a manual car and they were cheap. But now manual cars have become so rare that the few people like myself who love manual cars have made prices really go up. So people ask a premium for those things when they're selling it. So that's the downside of that. But repair-wise, it's much better. Most cars, by the time you hit 100,000 miles, that transmission needs to be replaced. Again, this is very general, but most cars at 100,000, the automatic transmission is toast. So, and of course, you got to do your research to see which car is good and which car is bad for those things. Now, the other side of the coin is that because there are so many more automatics out there, it's easier to replace them. So let's take the case of a BMW. There's a helicopter going overhead. So let's take the case of, say, a BMW E90. So those are cars that a lot of people look at because it's a really nice car. It was 40, 50,000 when it was new back in 2006 to 2009. But then now you can get them for $2,000, $3,000 all day long. So because of that, there are so many of them out there. The cars are cheap, so people are willing to buy them. But the percentage of manuals to automatic is probably 95% automatic to 5% manual. So if you want to buy it, then if your transmission fails and you go to the junkyard and you find an automatic, you can find an automatic for $300, $400. Whereas if you want the manual, it's $1,000 if you need to replace it. So there's also that. So you need to balance that out. Now, however, on the other side, if it's, say, a Honda Accord V6, well, those automatics were a problem. So if you wanted to replace that, because they were a problem, everybody wants a good automatic for that car, a used one. So if you go to the junkyard, they're going to charge you $3,000 for that. So, but if you have a manual, because they don't fail, they're more affordable, although they're hard to find. But you don't need to replace it because usually they don't fail. And if it fails, repair the transmission that you have. So again, it comes down to your research, but manual cars are generally much better to get. Next one. Again, another thing that people think about is they think that, oh, I'm going to buy the newest car I can find because newer equals better. Well, newer does not equal better. Depending on, there was a plateau right around, I would say, late 90s, early 2000s. Those year cars were pretty much the best cars ever made. Because back in the older days, before in the 70s, 80s, the cars had carburetors and tons of vacuum hoses everywhere, and they were just not built as well because also that was a bad era for cars. So the cars tended to have more problems. By, say, the 90s, the late 90s, the cars were sophisticated enough where they had OBD2, they had fuel injection and all kinds of great things, and the cars just fit and finish was much better. But you didn't, after that though, the cars became much more complex, and now you had tons of modules and video screens and all kinds of things that if something goes wrong, it's going to be a nightmare to figure it out. So newer does not mean better. Pick, if you can, right around there, early 2000s is the best time, generally speaking. But again, it depends on the car and your situation and how old the car, how much of a life it has had before and things like that. Because again, as time progresses, those cars tend to be more older. So so that's a problem. But if you can find a good car in that era, that's the one to get. So number six. Number six is read the situation when you're going to look at a car. So now you found your car, you found your Civic or whatever that you wanted, and it's at the right price and everything, and you make an appointment and you go see the car. It's you need to analyze the seller just as much as you're analyzing the car. Seeing the seller and will tell you a lot about this particular car. Now, if the guy has only had the car for a few months, that's usually not very good because, well, why did he get it? Was it handed down to him by somebody? Did he buy it and found out there's a major problem and now he wants to get rid of it? Is he a guy that flips cars and just cleans them up, patches them up and sells it? Whereas the nice car that you want to look for is the one that's the guy's had it for many years, he's taking good care of it, and when you go see this car, as soon as you arrive at the guy's house, or wherever you meet, but it's better to go see his house, because then you see what kind of person he is. And is he a person who just drives, is his car, all his other cars are all beat up and his garage is a mess and his clothes are a mess, and this is the kind of person who doesn't take care of his stuff and he just drives them until something goes wrong? Or is he one of those guys who's very meticulous and pays attention to everything? I bought a car, and I remember where upon showing up to the guy's house, before the guy even came out of the house, I knew I was in good shape because seeing the guy's house, seeing his lawn, seeing his other cars, seeing the car I was going to buy, everything was really clean and nice. Then, of course, he pulls out, just as I suspected, he pulls out a big folder full of all these receipts and everything was done right. at a really good shop, so I knew I was getting a good car. Whereas I've gone to other places where I don't even want to get out of the car because it's a rough neighborhood to begin with, and then you see the guy's situation and everything, and you think, yeah, this is not a guy who takes care of his car, and that's not the kind of car you want, because things like that will have problems, because those tend to be, you know, oh, the engine was making noise, and you put some thick oil in it just to make it quieter for you, things like that. So you want to avoid those kind of things. Number 7, a low price does not necessarily mean it's a good deal. So just because you get in the car at a super good price, it doesn't mean you're getting a deal. A lot of times it's better to spend a little bit more, because a little bit more will get you a lot more of a car. Now, again, it depends on your budget and your comfort level with repairs and things like that. But for the normal person who doesn't really do their own repairs too much and just wants a car to get them to work, or, you know, do whatever it is you're doing to your car, whether it's get to work or rob a bank. I guess if you're robbing a bank, that's your work. So you want a car that will get you there, and you don't have to spend a lot of time fiddling with it so it's ready for work. So if you spend $500 more, you can get a car that has had better repairs, or maybe doesn't need tires, or things like that. So look for those kind of things. Don't be really cheap when it comes to the price, because look around to see what's you can get if you squeeze a little bit more out of your budget. Number 8, similar to what we just said about the price, high miles doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. You could have a car that you can buy, a 1999 car that has 2,000 miles on it, and you think, wow, this is a brand new car. Well, those are actually that's actually a bad thing. If you have a car just sit, that's a bad thing. Cars don't like to sit. Cars like to be able to be driven. If a car sits for months and months and months, or years and years and years, that's a bad thing. Things actually break, and on an old car, the repairs become even harder and more expensive. So it depends on what kind of life that car's had. That's really what you need to find, is who took care of this car. Did they take good care of it? Did they just put oil in it and gas in it and drive it, or did this car actually have the repair history, and the guy took it to the dealer every time there was a noise? Those kind of things. That's the secret to finding out about the car, not just mileage. Mileage doesn't mean that much. So keep that in mind. Number 9, simple cars are generally, and this is really pretty much most of the time, simple cars are much better than luxury cars. So if you're okay with driving a car, say a Corolla or something, or a Honda Fit or something like that, you're much better off driving something like that than you are a Mercedes S-Class. There's a reason why you can buy a 2000-ish Mercedes S-Class that used to cost $100,000 20 years ago, but now you can get that car for $2,000, whereas a Honda Fit from 2010 will cost you 2 to 3 times that, because those simple cars are better. They're more reliable, they're more solid, parts are cheaper, it's easier to work on, all kinds of great things. Yes, you can buy your S-Class and you think, wow, I look like $1 million driving this thing. And this thing is awesome. No, no, because as soon as you find out how much it costs to repair it and how much the parts cost, you'll know why that car was $2,000. And you can see this because you can look on the internet. You'll see, especially the really super high-end luxury cars, the Mercedes S-Classes, the Audi A8s, actually pretty much any Audi, all those kind of cars, they depreciate really poorly because one little thing that goes wrong and that car is going to be useless. Whereas you have like I said, a Civic or a Corolla or a Honda Fit or something like that, and the thing is going to be worth money no matter what. And they hold their value for that reason. Next one, be ready for cash. If you're serious about buying your used car, you need to have a wad of cash ready to go at a moment's notice. Because once you find that deal, good deals go fast because there are thousands of the people out there looking at the same ad you're looking at, and they're going to try to get to that thing as fast as possible. So you need to be able to go to that car, drop what you're doing, and go to that car. I remember we found this car for sale, and it was about an hour away. And the guy just posted this like within half hour. So it was a fresh ad. And as soon as we jumped in the car, we went, it was an hour away, but we got to like 10 minutes away from where the guy was located. And I got a message from the guy saying, oh, sorry, the car's sold. So that's kind of what happens because good deals go fast. So you can't mess around, you can't wait around. If you want a deal, you got to act fast. And number 11, last one, is know your strengths and weaknesses. So if you have the ability to do body work, say, then look for a car that's mechanically sound but needs body work. If you can, fix paint work, if you know how to paint, or you know how to wrap a car, look for a car that has the paint has been oxidized. Those are actually all over the place because so many people don't maintain their cars, and they just let them rot in the sun, and you end up with a 10-year-old car with horrible paint job that looks really bad, but can be fixed really cheaply. So know what you're capable of doing, but if you are not a mechanical person, then don't buy something that has a lot of mechanical issues because you have to give that to somebody else, and it's going to be really expensive. So you should avoid stuff like that. So those are some of the basic general items that I tell people when they come and ask for used car advice. And next time we'll try to go over some specific cars that maybe you want to look at certain price points. So let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are, if I missed anything, and if you liked it, please click the little button down below and subscribe. That really helps us out. And hope to see you at the next one. Thank you.